Well, today we're hosting the conference Our Children, Our Future in St Mary's University College, and the purpose of West Belfast Partnership Board hosting the conference is to explore how local educationalists, schools, community organisations and government, and indeed elected representatives, can work together to get better educational outcomes for our children.
The other thing that is clear from the graph is a huge variation in outcomes and performance levels.
What we're doing today is looking at some issues around education performance, the opportunity provided for young people in West Belfast to try and identify problems and challenges and identify things we can do about that. A lot of the discussion is around trying to focus on those problems and solutions, because a lot of the problems have been persistent. It's not clear to me that we have strategies in place that will allow us to deal with them. So I think there's a sense of urgency around this. The life chances of a lot of young people are not being helped by what's happening in schools at the moment.
Over the last 18 months, I think this is part of the reason for that.
We have too many initiatives, educational initiatives funded mainly by the department coming into this area, and we need to rationalise those down to a more coherent initiative for educational improvement, which will run long term and not short term, with the interest of achieving much higher levels of community transformation than we're currently achieving.
And working at the heart of our local administration.
As someone who leads a large school in West Belfast and someone who has worked in the community for many, many years, I'm very, very keen to ensure that there's a coherent approach and that we're all working together collaboratively to do the best for the young people in West Belfast. So I think the core mission today is to ensure that we join up our thinking and provide quality for our young people and ensure that they can achieve high quality outcomes and improve their life chances.
So in developing this framework, this is what we're setting out to do.
So today's event is all about looking at the challenges of education in West Belfast, looking at what the opportunities are, but most importantly, looking at how we can work collaboratively together to get better outcomes for children.
It's not a lost cause. We know other countries have solved these problems. We know the problems are not insoluble. We know there's not something innate here that is an insuperable challenge.
It's down to the practicalities of what people do, and therefore we do need local engagement between schools, the community sector and the real people on the ground in the interests of soliciting much higher levels of educational achievement in the interest of the children. If we are going to transform these communities as opposed to just continue to tolerate the condition that many of the people are in.
I do have my concerns that at a political level, because there's such a logjam in education debates in particular, that trying to sort of agree large strategic responses is extraordinarily difficult. In the meantime, there are things we can do right now with teachers in classrooms that will actually make a difference to young people. And since we can do that, that's what we should do as a matter of urgency. Focus on the things we can do right now and worry about the bigger picture. Let the politicians worry about that at a later stage, but do what we can right now.
And you can't look at education, I don't think, in the context of just education. You have to look at it in the context of where people are coming from, historically where the background has been.
West Belfast is an area which has a high level of disadvantage and deprivation, and as we've learned from our researchers today, there's a direct correlation between disadvantage and poor educational outcomes. So today is all about how do we get resources into West Belfast. Importantly, how do we work together to use those resources properly, and how do we make that translate into better educational outcomes for children, young people and indeed their parents.
That we know what's happening, and it's a big time investment, and we do it.
As busy principals in schools, we sometimes feel that we're not au fait with all the opportunities or all the investment that has been put in. So to have an opportunity to find out how much is out there, what can it be used for, how can we ensure that it meets the needs of the educators, and together we support the families. And every child in our school comes from a family in the community, and therefore the community organisations that work closely with the families, the schools that educate the children, need to be talking and need to have a coherent approach to the delivery of quality services.
We're committed to widening participation, widening access, ensuring that every young person who will benefit from higher education gets access to higher education. That's really, really important. But we know that the inequalities in education are beginning right from the very earliest stages. And we need to solve those problems, because if you don't solve the problems at that stage, then you're going to just promote inequalities and lack of opportunity further down the line.
The most important thing we need to do is have a more coherent strategic plan which drills down to a number of realistic strands of action which we then can deliver in a coherent way into the schools and communities.
The challenges actually are mirrored almost by the opportunities. So one of the big challenges we've identified is that there are a whole range of government initiatives which, in fairness to government, they are trying to put into place in the west of the city. The opportunity for us is how do we collaborate rather than duplicate or be competitive. How do we collaborate to draw down these initiatives so that we can put the right high quality type of teaching with our children, our young people, and indeed their parents, so that they have better educational outcomes.
There's lots to be done. The need is great, and we need to take a measured approach and get on now and be addressing those things as quickly and as well as we can.
It's in everyone's interest that the education system is providing the best possible experience for all our young people, and at the moment that's not what's happening.
We firmly believe at the partnership, if we're going to regenerate disadvantaged districts like West Belfast, you have to begin with people, and you have to begin with giving children, young people, and indeed their parents as co-educators a good, solid education.